welcome on back. Today we're talking about Thunderhead. This is the second book in the Scythe trilogy. If you haven't already seen my video on the first book, go watch that. Let's talk about the book while I get ready. First we start with sunscreen because living in Australia, I'm not trying to get skin cancer, man. Also, I'm not trying to look like a pair of balls when I'm 60, so you know, that's another reason. So Thunderhead. Okay, so this book still follows our same characters from Scythe, Citra and Rowan, except this time they have these new like Scythe names. Now that like Citra's an official Scythe, she now has like a Scythe name, and that's what she needs to be referred to from now on. So she chooses the name Scythe Anastasia after Anastasia Romanov. And then Rowan technically didn't pass as a Scythe, so he's technically not a Scythe, but he still goes around in a cloak like killing people. Which, you know what? Big slay. Like, that's so funny. That's like giving the same energy as like going in for a job interview, getting rejected for the job, but like still rocking up on Monday in the uniform, helping out customers in the store or whatever. So he picks the name Scythe Lucifer. One of the colors that you're not allowed to wear as a Scythe is black, because you're not meant to be like full-on Grim Reaper vibes. You're meant to be like jazzy, fun Reaper vibes. Yeah, but the thing is with Rowan, like he can't exactly go back to his regular life because he just went through a whole Scythe apprenticeship. Like he's not a civilian anymore. So we know the Thunderhead is like the AI/Google of this world, okay? And the Thunderhead can only assist and control and have like authority over the regular civilians. And then if you're a Scythe, you get policed by the Scythedom. Because he's been through the Scythe apprenticeship, the Thunderhead can't really, you know what I mean? But then because he's not a Scythe, the Scythedom doesn't have authority over him either. So he's kind of just like a rogue. Yeah, so he wears black, which is illegal for real Scythes to wear. But the thing is, so what he does is he goes... Sounds messed up, but you know what? It's giving off Dexter Morgan vibes. Did anyone watch Dexter? Oh my god, I love that show. Rowan goes around like gleaning, because I don't know how he's able to do this. I think he just kills them with fire or acid so that they can't be regenerated, which is kind of like gleaning. But he goes around gleaning other Scythes. But he goes around killing like the corrupt Scythes, doing it in the inhumane, corrupt way. It's Dexter, you know what I mean? It's Robin Hood. It's Rowan Hood. His little black hood. Which is kind of everything, I'm not gonna lie. So, Citra decides that her method of... Citra/Scythe Anastasia, she decides that her method of gleaning people is gonna be like, she gives them like notice. So she'll be like, hey, you've been selected to be gleaned. Instead of like killing you on the spot, it's struggle city out here. We're running very low. Yeah, so she's like, all right, you've been selected for gleaning, except I'm gonna give you like a month notice. You can decide how you want to die. Meet me somewhere in a month and then we'll do it like that. So it kind of gives them like a month to get their life together, say goodbye to people, enjoy their final days. So she's kind of going with it with that, which originally causes a lot of controversy because they're like, you can't be doing that. Because they're all like, that's not what being a Scythe is about. It's about sneaking up on people and just ending them. But she's like, no, like listen. And she makes a pretty good case for it. She's like, hey, back in the mortal age, people used to get terminal illnesses. They knew that their days were numbered. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm doing anything that isn't mimicking nature already. So they're kind of like, oh, look, you know what? She has a point. But she's still rocking the boat. I just think they don't like people who rock the boat. And Citra has just done that since day one. Rowan kind of does the same thing. Like, I don't know. The vibe with Rowan was confusing in the beginning. There's this scene at the very start where Rowan goes up to some Scythe and he's like about to kill him. And then he's like, you know what, mate? I'm gonna spare you. Change your ways, go off and change your ways. So anyway, the Scythe is like, oh my god, maybe I should change my ways. It looks like they're kind of doing parallel of the same thing, you know what I mean? So anyway, because Citra's method of gleaning is seen as so controversial, just stirring up controversy everywhere she goes, this girl. Her and Scythe Curie, her mentor, are like driving around and someone set a booby trap for them. Like obviously trying to kill them off because we don't mind people who go out gleaning for fun, but we will not tolerate people who rock the boat. Absolutely not. No way. Not in this Scythedom. Not in these here parts. There's this boy that we get introduced to. His name's Grayson Tolliver. He's kind of like a forgotten kid in his family. He's like very middle child vibes. He's been pretty much raised by the Thunder. He is like this world's version of an iPad kid. So he was just kind of dumped in front of the Thunderhead his whole childhood and fully neglected by his parents. So he was pretty much raised by the Thunderhead. And the Thunderhead's always like had a soft spot for him type of thing. Dude, I've been growing like a pimple goatee lately and I'm not about it. So let's just absolutely drown my chin in concealer. This guy, Grayson, he grows up, he works at like the Thunderhead like headquarters or something. It's like working for Google. And then one day he gets called into this meeting. Okay, this guy who has this meeting with him is like, hi, the Thunderhead wants me to remind you specifically about what would happen if you interfered with this and this. It's pretty much like, hypothetically, if there were some scythes under attack and someone was planning to kill off some scythes and you knew about it and interfered, just letting you know it's like highly illegal, like, you know that, right? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, so the Thunderhead wanted me to tell you, like, if you hypothetically knew that there was a hit put out on Scythe Curie and Scythe Anastasia at this location at this time, you wouldn't do anything about it, right? Because you know it's against the rules, right? Type of vibes. And he's like, gotcha loud and clear. So he goes off, and knowing that the Thunderhead wants him to do this, he goes off to like warn them. So they're driving along and this Grayson kid just like jumps in front of the car and like renders himself like half dead, right? Because you can't like fully die in this world. They get out of the car and they're like, are you serious? Like, another splatter has jumped in front of our car, like, man. And then he's like trying to grab her leg and be like, there's a booby trap. And then she notices the booby trap and she's like, oh my God, this kid tried to warn us. Anyway, he gets taken away to go get healed. And then when he wakes up from his surgery, they're like, all right, because you did that, you know, you broke the rules and stuff, you've now been marked as an unsavory, which is like your file comes up with like a U against your name, and like it just means you're like outcasted from the world, can't access the Thunderhead anymore, can't work certain jobs and that type of stuff. It's kind of like he's been stitched up a little bit because he gets marked as an unsavory for splatting. Splatting is like people in this world, when they want to like feel something, they go jump and they like splat off a building or whatever. They know they're not going to die, but it's like seen as like you're an absolute nuisance if you do that. You know, him working at this Thunderhead job, they're like, well, we can't have people working at the Thunderhead going off doing stuff like that. Like, that's real, first of all, they pretty much were like, that's real cringe, like 14-year-old behavior. They fire him from his job and he's like, yeah, I understand, like I knew it was against the rules for me to use inside info to do that. He's like, all right, did you have to mark me as an unsavory though? You know what I mean? Just for doing that. Like, it's a little bit harsh. Like, you don't get marked as an unsavory for splatting like one time. That's crazy. The guy that interviewed him is like, well, it wasn't up to me. The Thunderhead personally wanted you to be marked as an unsavory. And he's like, stitch up, like absolute stitch up. But we find out it's for a reason. He ends up like having to speak to some like unsavory parole officer, because like you're an unsavory, but if you like have good behavior for a certain amount of time, you can like get rid of your unsavory status after a couple months of good behavior. But he goes in for his first meeting and his parole officer, dude, his parole officer is the same agent that interviewed him and told him, hey, don't go off and do this thing. So he's like, what happened to you? And he's like, yeah, I got demoted and put in this position as an unsavory parole officer and assigned to your case. So we understand what's going on, right? The Thunderhead is using these two dudes to get info into the unsavory world, because the unsavories are a group of people that the Thunderhead doesn't have any eyes on, right? Because they're kind of like a blind spot. Their connection with the Thunderhead is severed. They're kind of like a blind spot in this world. The Thunderhead don't know what's going on over there. So pretty much we understand that was all like planned, A, to save Citra and what's-her-face, but also so that Grayson can become the Thunderhead's like eyes on the inside. I'm gonna use this. You know what? Some lady at Mac when I was 14 scammed me into buying this. She said it was a foundation brush. Look how small the head is. Do you know how long it took me to apply foundation with this? Please. Let's see if it's good for blending. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, so around this same time, one of Rowan's old friends, his name's Tiger, he gets taken in for a scythe apprenticeship by Scythe Rand. So that's what's going on over there. Now that we know that Scythe Anastasia and Scythe Curie are like under attack, the Scythedom decide to protect them. They're gonna give Citra, Scythe Anastasia, they're the same person, okay? Just so we're clear. Scythe Lucifer and Rowan, they're the same person. Understand that. Just understand it or you're gonna have a hard time in this video. I'm just gonna tell you now. So they're like, right, we're gonna grant you a month off gleaning, Scythe Anastasia. They grant her like an exemption from gleaning for a month, so she can not glean without being penalized for having low numbers at the end of the year. Because the way that she gleans leaves her too easily traceable, you know what I mean? Because she's booking in the gleanings with people. Let me know the time and place, I'll be there. So anyway, before she even has a chance to be like, nah, I don't want to do it like that, they're like, too late. They're like, yeah, so we went off and gleaned all the loose ends that you had. All the people that you said had a month, we've just gone off and gleaned them all. And she's like, are you kidding? So they basically don't give her a choice. But I can't help but imagine how much of a stitch up that is for the people. Like, imagine how much of a stitch up to be told you've hit the jackpot and you've got the scythe that's like, yeah, I'm gonna give you a month, you can pick the way you die. Like, you'd be sitting there being like, hell yeah. Just for some random other scythe to rock up and be like, yeah, man, So if Anastasia's on holidays, innit? Bang, gone, stitched up. I mean, I'd be pissed. Like, tell me you would not be pissed. So anyway, back to this Grayson kid, okay? Because he is obviously a key player in this story. Basically, Grayson is encouraged to like fully embrace being an unsavory and like delve really deep into the world of the unsavories and like fully integrate. He ends up going to this like unsavory bar. All the unsavories are like, honestly, they're like early 2000s punk emo scene kids. Oh my god, no. You know what the unsavory groups remind me of? And this, I don't know if this was a thing everywhere, but it was definitely a thing in Australia, at least in Melbourne, in, I would say like 2012, where there was this trend of like being an indie kid. And the whole point of it, dude, this was a thing at my school. I don't know if this was a thing anywhere else, but there was this group of kids called indies. Indie stood for individual, like you're an individual. And all the indie kids wore the exact same stuff. Dude, the indie kids all dressed the same, all hung out of the same areas. They were literally like clones of each other. It was so funny. But the fact that they were called indie for having individual style was so funny. Like, that's the vibe that the unsavories give off. Non-conformity, but like they all essentially ascribe to the same personality, appearances, style of that subculture. And it's actually but it's actually like debilitatingly cringe because they act all tough stuff, but like at this bar, for example, the employees are like paid to get beat up by the unsavories. They're walking around acting like they're all tough stuff, and like, you're not tough stuff, like beating up the staff and like being rude and stuff, but it's like, you're not actually tough because that's literally, they're paid to do that. They have their pain nanites turned all the way up so they don't feel anything, and they have their healing regenerators set up to the max so they heal. They just go into the bathroom real quick and they fully heal themselves and come back out. Yeah, it's all like a fabricated illusion, which is not very punk rock. It's not very indie. It's not very indie of you. So basically, Grayson meets this girl. She's an unsavory. They start to have this little thing. Her name's Purity. She's really into the unsavory vibes, you know what I mean? Like, I love this arc for Grayson. It's like Grayson, you know, he went from being like nerdy government agent boy, always does everything correct, and like now he's in with the rebels. He's got his alternative girlfriend, and like, it's everything, you know what I mean? It's honestly everything. Like, Neil Schusterman outdid himself in this book. He really was going for gold. She pulls him deeper and deeper into the unsavory culture, and then she basically lets loose that they're planning on killing these two Scythes. We can only assume that that's Scythe Curie and Scythe Anastasia. So Grayson's like, all right, amazing. I'm gonna go to my parole officer, Agent Traxler, who's working with me to feed info back to the Thunderhead. I'm gonna tell him I found the people who are all, like, I'm gonna let him know what's going on. They're organizing a hit. When Grayson goes in for his meeting with his parole officer, he's not there anymore. There's some random lady there instead of Agent Traxler, and he's like, who's this bird? And she's like, oh, hello, my name is Agent blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm your new parole officer. And he's like, where's old mate? And she's like, yeah, no, I got gleaned last week. See ya. He got gleaned right before he could feed him the info about him. Yo, like, are you joking? It's a joke at this point. Neil Schusterman, you were sick for that. Like, I remember reading that scene. Man, I was so upset reading that. So now it's like, stunning. There's no way of alerting the Thunderhead about what the unsavories are trying to do. He can't directly talk to the Thunderhead because he's still marked as an unsavory status. It's a mess. Like, it's a mess. Minced the while, Scythe Faraday. I think I need to sharpen this thing. I need my eyebrow pencil to go back to being in that like wind up, twist up tube form and not as an actual pencil. I can't keep having my product like break off. I can't keep doing this. I don't want to sharpen a pencil. Like, I'm sorry. The thing always breaks. Oh my god, it's so annoying. Someone please give me a dupe for Mac Fling. Hopefully, ideally something that's like cruelty free as well, because this is all I've been using since high school. It's like the perfect match for my hair. I really don't know what to move on to, but I can't keep living like this, sharpening this thing and then having it break every 5 seconds, like please. Anyway, so Scythe Faraday heading off to the Library of Alexandria, up to all sorts of mischief. You know Scythe Faraday. He meets this employee called Manira. She's like a real scythe expert. You know what I'm saying? Faraday is trying to find the land of Nod. So there's this like nursery rhyme in this world that's like, I wonder if I can find it in here. I wonder if I can find it. No, I couldn't find it. Thunderhead, let me find you this poem, hang on. Thunderhead, let's all forsake the land of Wake and break for the land of Nod, where we can try to touch the sky or dance beneath the sod. A toll for the living, a toll for the lost, a toll for the wise ones who tally the cost. So let's escape due south of Wake and make for the land of Nod. Okay, that's the poem. It's like a rumored place and no one's sure if it actually exists or not, but he's trying to find out more info about it. Okay, so he links up with this librarian lady. It's like their secret little side quest in the book. I love when a book just pulls out a random side quest. Like, yes. Neil was really doing backflips with this one. Neil really did his big one with this book. Like, honestly, the way everything ties in. So anyways, at this point in the book, I'm pretty sure, Rowan, Scythe Lucifer, he heads off to go meet Scythe Xenocrates, the High Blade, at his private bathing house. He finds out, while he's there, dude, he finds out that his father was gleaned by Scythe Brahms. Do you remember in the beginning of the book when Rowan went up to some Scythe? You know how Rowan decided to spare that one guy at the beginning in hopes that he would like have like an enlightened near-death experience and have like a whole I'm gonna change my ways moment? Like, all this man was enlightened to do was go out and kill Rowan's dad. Neil Schusterman, Neil, you're sick for that one too. Oh man. So in a fit of anger, he goes to go hunt him down, right? So he's gonna go find Brahms. Let's go start on my eyeshadow. What am I doing here? You know what I mean? We're just messing around. And ignoring the golden rule, which is never glean when you're angry. Okay, it's the same as never drive when you're angry, guys, because your judgment is impaired. Rowan goes off, breaks the golden rule. You know what he goes and does? In a fit of rage, he goes and hunts down Scythe Brahms to avenge his dad. Well, he gets captured by Scythe Brahms's guards or his goons or whatever, and it's just a shambles. Like, it's just a full-on shambles, which was so annoying. It was like, really, Rowan, come on now, you had such a good thing going here with the Scythe Lucifer thing. Fortunately, he can't be axed just yet because he still has a year of immunity from when Citra made him kiss her ring, or punched him in the face and like he kissed the ring, and then he got immunity for a year. So he's still got like a month left of that. So anyway, what ends up happening is like they capture him. I don't know what ends up happening. I don't know how he ended up going from Scythe Brahms to Scythe Rand with Tiger. Maybe because they're all in the same web. Actually, I don't remember that. Someone tell me in the comments, please. Somehow he ends up training against his friend Tiger. They're just in some dungeon training up every day, which is kind of funny. So anyway, Scythe Constantine meets up with Scythe Curie and Scythe Anastasia. Tries to convince them to go into hiding. So basically, Citra's like, nah, I've got a better idea. Instead of going into hiding, let's lure these attackers in to one of my public gleanings. There's this guy that's gonna get gleaned as part of a production of this stage show of Julius Caesar by Shakespeare, right? So they're gonna put on this production. This is looking so bad. That's how they're gonna lure this attacker in. So basically the victim is gonna get gleaned by Citra for real. Like, they're gonna stab this guy for real and like glean him in front of everyone at the play. Iconic. Imagine being part of that stage show. That would be sick. So that's what they're gonna do. Anyways, fast forward. Remember Grayson? So Grayson's, oh yeah, forgot to tell you. Grayson has this like undercover identity, right, as an unsavory. So he changes his name from Grayson to Slade. His name becomes Slade Bridger. I'm not kidding. He becomes Slade Bridger, the unsavory. Honestly, hilarious. Anyway, so his girlfriend Purity lets it loose that, because I think he mentions that his agent died or something, and she's kind of like, you're welcome, and he's like, what do you mean you're welcome? And she's like, I was the one that put the hit out on your parole agent, which actually tells us a whole lot, because you know what that tells us? The fact that the agent was gleaned and not just like rendered dead or like murdered off or whatever. The fact that he was gleaned means that they had a scythe go and do that for them, which means they would have had to be working with one of the dark New Order scythes, because no regular scythe would go against the moral code like that to be paid off to glean someone. So that was very interesting revelation there from good old Purity. Okay, so they get to this show and they're like, okay, Slade, your one job here is to create a diversion, because they don't want to tell him too much. They like don't want to tell too many of the moving parts, the whole plan, because then they might ruin it. So they're like, all right, Slade, you've got to go create a diversion. That's your job here. So he's like, oh my god, okay, that's it. Like, they're about to kill Scythe Curie and Anastasia. Like, he runs off to go warn the two of them instead. Like, that's honestly when everything well and truly hits the fan. Hits the fan. Sprays everywhere. So in all the mayhem, dude, I don't even remember. It was moving at lightning speed. I was half out of it because I listened to this on audiobook while I was cleaning, and I think I was like balls deep in my shower, like really getting in the drain, like cleaning it up. So I'll be so real, I don't fully remember how this all went down, but Purity gets killed. You know what I mean? Better luck next time, Purity. Oh wait. So you know, Slade is obviously reeling from the devastating loss of his soulmate. He meets up with Citra and he's pretty much like, hey, help me, Scythe Anastasia. What do I do? She's pretty much like, yeah, look, heard the local cult need more people. It's not like you're a stranger to getting roped into an extremist organization. So you're a shoo-in. Well, okay, no, that's not exactly what she said, but she was like, yeah, look, the Tonist Monastery down there over the road, they may let you take refuge there. So that's what he does. He heads on down to the Tonist Monastery and we don't hear from him until the finale. Okay, we're gonna just park Grayson's character there for the moment and we'll get back to him in a sec. Rowan, aka Scythe Lucifer, okay, he's in captivity with his friend Tiger, okay, they're battling every day, they're sparring. Tiger, honestly, I'll tell you something about Tiger. Tiger is hot for teacher. Him and Scythe Rand, I don't know, he's got a thing for her, which is just a little bit, you know, okay, because you know I'm picturing Ayn Rand, and because that's who she was named after, and I'm picturing, yeah, you know what, you don't want to know what I'm picturing, okay? It's in the imagination for a reason. Yeah, they're set to keep on sparring each other until one day Tiger rocks up wearing Scythe Goddard's head. You know, freaky. Not sure if I'm into it, but Scythe Rand definitely is. Use Tiger's body as a way of like horrifyingly rebirthing Scythe Goddard, because Rand saved his head from when he got killed by Rowan, and like that was enough to regenerate, live on, like, which I don't know the logic really there. I don't know how that's plausible, but you know what I mean? Neil's the one writing the story here, so I'm just gonna respect and roll with it. Faraday and Manira, back to our dynamite duo. They're in the Great Library, you know, they're delving through the shelving, you know what I mean? You wanna know what they uncover? They're like, hang on, what in the Bermuda Arse Triangle is this? They discover that there's actually like a secret blind spot the Thunderhead and everybody don't know about in this little area on the map. So they're like, that's gotta be where the Land of Nod is. Now here's the part of the story where, as if there wasn't already just like a lot happening, Neil Shusterman really cranked it to the max. He really cranked it to the max to outdo himself with this sequel. He was like a shark in the 2018 Goodreads Choice Awards waters, you know, sniffing out that best young adult fantasy sci-fi top spot, you know. He ended up only being a nominee runner-up, but probably for doing way too much. Dude, middle book syndrome is scared of Neil Shusterman, I will tell you that. Winter Conclave rolls around, okay? You know it's about to get ugly. All the junior sides at this conclave, they are like desperately trying to suck the fart out of Citra's ass, you know what I mean? Like they are so far up her scythe robes, it's like not even funny. She is truly the woman of the hour. And you know what, I'm so sorry, but we cannot proceed with this review without mentioning the fact that at the conclave, there is literally a scythe called Scythe Beyonce. Me. That's actually me in the book, everyone. That's my cameo. When I got ordained as a scythe, that's the name I chose. So that was real cute of Neil to throw me in the book like that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh my God, you know what? Real question in the comments. What's your scythe name? What would you choose as your scythe name? You have to pick a historical figure or someone of prominence. Honestly, you know who I would be? I'd be Scythe Diana. I feel like that's obvious. So at this conclave, Scythe Xenocrates, big man himself, he announces that he is actually ascending to the ranks of being on the World Scythe Council. So his position as High Blade in Mid-America is going to open up. So what they need to do at this conclave is nominate and decide who the next High Blade is going to be. Everyone starts saying, oh, Scythe Curie, obviously. She's the natural go. There's no one else more suited. She's a baddie. She's a diva, she's our nominee. Then this absolute gargoyle, Scythe Brams, stands up and announces his nominee like an absolute bootlicking pick-me. He announces he's nominating Scythe Goddard. Oh my God, and it's like such an attention-seeking, like, he rolls into the event like he's Benedict the 16th. Mass hysteria and uproar ensues, obviously. Scythe Goddard is not actually dead. Oh my God, what? However, Citra has this big brain moment where she's like, you know what? She calls for an inquest, right? She calls for an inquest on the grounds that, like, specifically in the rules, scythes are supposed to be trained in body and mind. So since Tiger was never officially a scythe, but Goddard is walking around with, from the neck down, this guy's body, he's not technically trained to be a scythe in body and mind. Like, on a technicality, does that make sense? It's all right, me neither. Anyways, the inquest is granted and they're like, look, you need to go back and do your apprenticeship, Goddard. He full cracks it, Menti B, gleans a bunch of people on the way out, full diva mode activated. Anyway, goes back to his little cave. He like gleans Rowan, revives him, gleans him, revives him, until he finally decides that he's gonna just glean him at Endura in front of everyone and give him like a public execution. Then, as if we didn't have enough issues on our hands, the Thunderhead decides to shit the bed as well. Starts having a full existential crisis, like questioning its existence, like really Hans, time and place. So everyone rocks up at Endura, okay, all ready for this inquest. There's this weird, awkward moment. Scythe Rand is all Randy for Goddard, if you know what I mean, because of his new body. And he rejects her, rightfully so, because you know what? Know your worth. Like, if you don't want me at my big back, then you don't deserve me at my six pack, you know? So in revenge of getting rejected, she decides to let Rowan go free, which is actually hilarious. Okay, so anyways, the inquest happens, Goddard is rejected, Scythe Curie gets voted as the new High Blade. Big slay, you know, big slay for the Scythedom. You know what? I'll be so real with you, I think I had such whiplash from this story at this point in the novel that I honestly don't actually know how we got to this point, okay? I was hanging on for dear life here. Dude, somehow everything starts sinking. Don't ask me. I think I was listening to it on audiobook. I was cleaning my sink, okay? Like, don't ask me. I just look up and all of a sudden we're sinking. Cool. Cool. I'm gonna just roll with it. You know I'm not rewinding. So everything's sinking. The sharks are unleashing on everyone. And Scythe Goddard flies over everyone in a helicopter, which kind of shows that he knew that this was gonna happen. So he's flying over the top of them in a helicopter as all the Grand Slayers die. And it's just all really just doing too much, Neil Schusterman. Scythe Curie and Rowan and Citra all end up in this vault somewhere. At first we think Scythe Curie's gonna like turn on them and start killing them. Like, we think she's about to switch up on them and attack them, but she doesn't. Basically it's like, pretty much it's like, look, everyone here's gonna die regardless because we're all sinking. It's like Titanic vibes. Once you sink, you're gonna freeze. So she's like, look, I've put us in here. Once everything sinks and the temperature gets cold enough, your bodies will get like frozen. And then in this half deadish state, when people finally uncover this island, the cold will preserve your body enough. And then you have a hope of being revived in the future when that day comes. And then she gleans herself. Scythe Curie gleaning herself honestly felt like watching your nan jump off a cliff in front of you. Like, it was honestly heartbreaking, heartbreaking. So right as this is all happening, okay, Faraday and Munira, they finally discover what is in this dark spot, right? You know that little Bermuda Triangle type place? Well, they find out what's there. It's a group of islands, not just any old island. They're called the Atolls. Or atolls or whatever, like that poem, atoll for this, atoll for that. So naturally when they find this out, the Thunderhead finds out at the same time, you know, which is a huge mistake because they have just shown the Thunderhead the one thing that it was never supposed to find out. The Thunderhead lets out this like 10-minute scream by sounding off like every single alarm, every bell, every horn, every whistle, every speaker on the planet for 10 minutes, just creating this like screaming sound, which, you know what, real, she's so me, like I would do that. Then literally every single person on the globe is marked as an unsavory and the Thunderhead goes quiet. So no one under unsavory status can talk to the Thunderhead. No one knows what's going on. It is a complete shambles. Like, imagine Google freaked out and shut down. Like, that's the equivalent here. No more internet for y'all. So the Tonist, remember the Tonist monastery, that cult? They're sitting there being like, it's here. The great resonance is upon us, you know, because they recognize the tone of the, I don't know. I don't know. Me acting like I know about this cult. I don't know anything. So they're like, oh my god, it's here, it's here. Grayson goes to the monastery's computer and like logs on and sees that he is the only person not marked as an unsavory. He's back. And he goes, hello, to the Thunderhead. And the Thunderhead goes, hello, Grayson. We need to talk. And then the book ends. Oh my god, and that's it. And that's it. I'm so excited for the toll. Where's the toll? Now here's the thing, I'm a little bit confused about like the atolls and the islands and all that stuff. I don't know if I just missed something key or if we find out more about it in the toll. I'm assuming we will. But man, I'm so excited for this book. 5 stars. Dude, this story, I'm gonna be so real. I feel like it's a crime that this isn't more popular than it is. You know what I mean? It's an absolute crime because we have books like, dude, we have mid pieces of trash like The Maze Runner out here with multiple movie deals and just, you know, like a whole song and dance about them. But Scythe was here the whole time, and where's its parade, you know? Let me know your thoughts below. Let's chat in the comments. What a middle book. Like, what a champion for middle books. This is a big moment in history for middle books everywhere. You know, depending on how the toll goes, dude, the middle book might actually for once be the best book in the series. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let's talk in the comments. I'll see you soon with another video.